guys, we haven't done an enclosure for a long time, but we're going to do a pretty cool one here. A little bit of centerpiece action, a little bit of shelf action. We're going to do a whole new lid. This is an old tank that I had a pretty crappy lid on that broke just to make do, that I was using for roaches, and then I used it for a horned baboon just because it was convenient and around. And it's a burrower, so I mean it's not like you really need a great enclosure for it. But he's since matured and molted past maturity, and of course didn't survive because very rarely does a male tarantula survive past its mature molt. So we're going to take this tank, clean it out, make a better lid, and make a custom enclosure. We've got the great stuff foam that we spray in there that makes shapes. I've got a little small centerpiece that the current tarantula that's going to go in here uses. We've got foam here we're going to use to make shelves. This is more of that kind of compressed pill-based foam, which isn't as easy to shape as the non-pill-based, but it is cheaper and we already have it. And then I've got a thing full of substrate here. We have food-grade silicone, so we have pretty much everything we need to get this going and get the project started. And we'll show you at the next step. Alright, so we got a little bit done. We cut a foam shelf and shaped it and actually made it more of like a bowl shape so that we can fill it with substrate as well, and it will help retain a little bit of humidity and moisture up there, but also provide a little softer platform than just foam covered in substrate. Which we will cover the whole thing in substrate using silicone. And then we've got a bed of the expanding foam down here, which takes a while to harden, but as this bed of foam hardens and takes its shape, we're going to get a centerpiece more up in this area, and we're going to get our shelf sitting right here.
Okay.
And we will, so we're going to get our shelf sitting up here, and we'll kind of bank it out and decide if we want to put another kind of shelf access right here, which we'll probably end up doing. But we're just going to kind of have to see how it goes, and a little bit of creativity kind of comes into all of these. But I think it's going to turn out really well. So we've got foam in here now. I grabbed my centerpiece. I cut my shelf out, rounded my edges where I wanted them, dug out a trench or a bowl so I can fill it with substrate as well. With this much expanding foam in here, I mean, it can take weeks to dry if you don't get air down to the bottom. So I'm just going to make holes in the bottom. That's just really going to help get air down there. And all we have left to do with the foam until it dries is we did want to get this one centerpiece in there and attached, so I'm just going to get a little bit of foam under it. Just kind of cement it into place where I want it and allow it to dry. As that foam dries, that's going to be rock solid. Now here comes the part with the most fumes. This is food grade silicone. I mean, so essentially you could use this on plates or things you were going to eat out of and you'd be just fine once it's dried. So just using what is essentially the cheapest, shittiest caulk gun ever. Going to break it repeatedly. Just cover the foam with silicone. I guess this is the worst caulking gun ever.
Well, you battle with that. I'll show them the trunk.
Okay, well.
Okay.
Trying to get a good coverage on here. going to take a lot of silicone. That's why we're wearing the gloves, because smear that all around. And then you can see we need a lot. This stuff's extremely sticky. And all I'm going to do with it is take it into my lid, my substrate container. We'll get the rest out of that tank when we need to. Projects like this, a shop vac is really handy. Shake it, you can see where it needs to be kind of pushed on thicker. Just make sure we get a really good coating on that. Okay, we'll let that dry, find out where our bad spots are and fix them. And moral of the story, don't buy your caulk guns at Walmart.